A very early indication of just how forceful the Trump administration is going to be when they feel something is being reported inaccurately by the media. Moments ago, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer gave his first official statement from the briefing room. It wasn't actually a briefing because there were no questions taken. It actually was an attack on media reports about the size of Friday's crowd at the inauguration and the placement of decor in the Oval Office. Earlier today, President Trump ripped the media crowd size assessments during an appearance at the CIA, calling them lies. Then a short time ago, Spicer lashed out to reporters.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. Even the New York Times printed a photograph showing that a misrepresentation of the crowd in the original tweet in their paper, which showed the full extent of the support, depth, and crowd and intensity that existed. These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong.
Let's get more now on this most unusual start to a president-media relationship. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts was in that statement in the briefing room, and he joins us from there now. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. Sean Spicer was not supposed to hold his first briefing here in the Brady briefing room until Monday, but the Trump administration is so incensed by what they've seen in the last 24 hours that Spicer felt that he had to come out, and come out he did, and tore a strip off the media the width of an Iowa cornfield this afternoon on a couple of fronts, claiming that a tweet had been sent out last night. In fact, it had been sent out saying that the president had removed the bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office, when in fact that was not correct. Also ripping the media for tweets far and wide yesterday about the size of the crowd at the inauguration. Now, for a press secretary to come out and be aggressive with the press is nothing new. We saw it all the time in the Clinton administration with Joe Lockhart, Ron Ziegler, and the Nixon administration was famous for doing it as well. But I think, Brett, that President Trump and his press secretary have laid down a marker that any time they see something they do not like, they are going to aggressively counter it, as they did throughout part of this day as well. Watch. He may have feuded with the top leaders in the intelligence community, James Clapper and John Brennan, but today President Donald Trump received a standing ovation from staff at the CIA. Right back at you, said the president, as he praised the women and men on the front lines of intelligence gathering and analysis.
I believe that this group is going to be one of the most important groups in this country toward making us safe, toward making us winners again.
His praise stood in sharp contrast to statements he'd made earlier in the campaign, where he appeared to call into question the quality of American intelligence. The president blamed the media for that perception.
I am with you 1,000%. And they sort of made it sound like I had a feud with the intelligence community. And I just want to let you know, the reason you're number one stop, it is exactly the opposite. I love you. I respect you.
His disdain for the media took the president through a sharp pivot. In front of the stars that honor personnel who laid down their lives for their country, President Trump litigated media reports of the crowd count for his inauguration. Mr. Trump claimed it was 1.5 million, though photos appear to show a far smaller crowd than when Barack Obama drew 1.8 million.
They said Donald Trump did not draw well. It looked, honestly, it looked like 1.5 million people. We had 250,000 people literally around, you know, in the little bowl that we constructed. That was 250,000 people. The rest of the, 20-block area all the way back to the Washington Monument was packed. So we caught them, and we caught them in a beauty, and I think they're going to pay a big price.
The president's day began with the traditional national prayer service at Washington's National Cathedral. In the opening reading, Rabbi Fred Raskin reciting God's words to Solomon as he bestowed upon him his now famous wisdom.
There has never been anyone like you before, nor will anyone like you arise again.
The president has pledged to make his mark on Washington and made good on that promise with yesterday's frank inaugural address and his first executive orders. Mr. Trump signed orders to freeze new regulations put in motion in the waning days of the Obama administration and paved the way for a swift repeal of Obamacare. After his furious excoriation of the collected media here in the Brady briefing room, Sean Spicer went through a few announcements of what happened in the president's day, saying that he had conversations with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, President Peña Nieto of Mexico, and that Theresa May, the UK Prime Minister, would be his first official visit of a foreign leader. That will happen Friday and Saturday, Thursday and Friday of next week, and that the President would hold a special reception tomorrow night to thank the law enforcement officers who helped protect the inauguration yesterday. Brett?
And John, really quickly, was he suggesting that the Interior Department was responsible for trying to make it look like there were fewer people because of the bottom white part on the ground in front of the Capitol?
He just suggested that for the very first time ever there was plastic sheeting that was covering the grass to protect the newly installed grass in the mall, and that highlighted areas where there weren't people more than in 2009 or 2012 when there weren't the same plastics and the grass kind of filled in some of the holes where people weren't standing. He said it just stood in sharper contrast to what we've seen in the past, Brett.
Okay. This is day one. Thank you, John.